Social distancing coupled with springtime in New England may have you eager to explore the region. Luckily, in this part of the world, there's no shortage of natural beauty to connect with. Connecting Points, Brian Sullivan hits the road to find some of the greatest day hikes in western New England.
The Mohawk Trail, considered by many to be one of the most beautiful drives in Massachusetts, will always be the way that I got back and forth to college. There were countless times that we drove along what I think of as the second leg of the trail, which connects Franklin County to the northern Berkshires, passing landmarks like the Mohawk Trading Post without ever stopping because we were in too much of a rush. Or the times we passed this little side of the road cutout because we didn't even see it. Well, lately more drivers are seeing it, and they're stopping in for a visit. Luckily, there was just enough room in the lot for our vehicle, so we decided to indulge as well. The Mohawk Trail Conservation Area is a bit of a hidden gem, and according to locals, they'd like to keep it that way. So any outsiders planning to check it out are only allowed one visit every 2 to 3 months. Tongue-in-cheek implied. What's unique about this conservation area is that it offers up a combination of natural and unnatural, meaning natural in that visitors are clearly surrounded by nature, but unnatural because, as neat as it may feel to walk down a hallway of trees, this type of arboriculture alignment only occurs with the help of human hands. These plantings were part of a mid-20th century commercial nursery featuring Norway spruce, red pine, and European larch. The Franklin Land Trust purchased this 21-acre parcel in Shelburne, Massachusetts back in November of 1992. The well-kept trail is mostly flat, easy to travel, and eventually leads to the south branch of the Deerfield River. From the ridge here, hikers can look down and decide if they want to continue onward down the path's one significant decline. These steps are the steepest descent on the entire trail. But if that's the price I pay for wanting to get down to the waterfront, it's really not too bad. Once I get past this point, I'll have a couple of options of different paths that I can take to lead me there. The first section is within view of the Salmon Falls Dam in Shelburne Falls and can be reached by way of the trail at the base of the stairs here. The water is a steady mix of very shallow and relatively deep, scattered all about as the river courses over rocks of all sizes with a pretty strong current. Footwear that grips is recommended for anyone planning to swim or fish here. The second path is farther downstream and gives us another glimpse of that combination of nature and human-made with the Gardner Falls hydroelectric plant directly on the other side. The water runoff from the plant adds depth to an already swift current, so swimmers must take caution. But if I were planning a go-to-the-beach and swim day, I would take this path. It just won't be today. But sometime during the summer, definitely. For now, the Mohawk Trail beckons. This time, we'll be heading to a trail in North Adams, maintained by the Trustees of Reservations of Western Massachusetts. One minor drawback of this location is the lack of parking at the trailhead, but with spaces available only a short walk away at the YMCA, it's not such a big deal, especially considering that the Cascades Trail delivers the goods right away, giving visitors the tranquil sights and sounds of fresh-flowing water over rocks before they've even entered. Considered by some to be a lunch break hike, the path runs for 7/10 of a mile along the Notch Brook. The camera may not always capture what the eye sees, but nearly every site taken in looks like the inspiration for a postcard or an oil painting. And despite being located at the edge of a neighborhood, the sounds of rushing water may transport hikers to what feels like miles away from civilization. The trail itself is flat and hikeable for travelers of all levels of experience. A little bit of creativity may be needed at a couple of spots to traverse the water, but if I can do it with camera equipment, it's not too difficult. The end game in this trek, for those who make it this far, is worth every hop, skip, and jump taken. The 60-foot cascading waterfall is a glorious sight to behold, and there is a way to climb up and look over. That was a little too rugged for this journey, so heading to the base of the falls made more sense. Overall, the round-trip hike takes about an hour and a half, which for a lunch break hike seems like a bit of an extended lunch break. In that case, I think I'll take an extended lunch break.